Hi guys, I'm Rhys and I'm here to talk about what has been dubbed as the silent pandemic by a lot of media outlets, and it's the growing rate of male suicides within the UK. Before I start, I want to just give a bit of a trigger warning. There will be mentions of mental health disorders, death, bereavement, terminal illness, suicide, and lots of other quite dark things. So if at any point you want to leave during this talk, please feel free, you will not be judged, and please seek counselling where possible. So let's get into it. So the SDGs I want to cover today are mainly good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, and reduced inequalities. So, the silent pandemic. Here's some media headlines I want to just draw your attention, just to get a general feel of how big the problem is. So, schools fight soaring health crises, and these are all taken from either just before the pandemic or during. So we've got universities urged to deal with crisis in mental health, student crisis as suicides hit record levels, and child mental health unit referrals up nearly 50%. And from the bit that I carved at the bottom of that, this age as well is getting lower and lower year by year. Recently there has been reports of children as young as 11, 12 presenting to mental health units in severe crisis. Here's some statistics as well that I found just to further illustrate the issue. These are taken from 2019, as 2020 statistics are a bit muddy in the sense because of the pandemic. So the ones from 2019 are a lot more clearer. As you can see, the gender gap is insanely huge between male and female suicide rates. And as you can see, male suicide rates across the UK are insanely high. So, yeah, as I said, A&E and mental health units are seeing an ever-increasing amount of people presenting in crisis. This is children from, as I said, the age is getting younger and younger, but also this is a lot of middle-aged men presenting in crisis after dealing with years of mental health without seeking help. Furthermore, as I said, there's an ever-increasing amount of young people presenting, and this age is decreasing year on year. In 2020, I just managed to find some statistics. The suicide rate for men was 15.3 per 100,000, compared to the female suicide rate of 4.9 people per 100,000. Basically saying that men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And it would not surprise me if at the start of next year we discover that this rate is even higher. And males aged 45 to 49 continue to have the highest suicide rate, with an average of about 23.8 people per 100,000 people. So, from our research, I found that as a whole, men are less likely to speak about their mental health issues and less likely to seek support. Why is this, you might ask? Well, there's a lot of things. There's the stigma surrounding men's mental health. There's this historical man-up culture where men are often told, men don't cry or things like that. And there's also the shame that a lot of men feel that, personally they might not feel that there's anything wrong with them and it's just a bad day and things like that. There is also, from what I've spoken to a lot of wives, spouses, and stuff like that, a lot of people have said that I was speaking to some women the other day. Apparently, they said their husbands are they will never ever go to a GP at all. Any illness, they'll just deal with it and sort of try and man through it. And so, yeah, this is another reason why men are less likely to seek help and instead just bottle it up. So I was trying to run to sort of my story and sort of why I'm sort of passionate about this. And there's some amazing pictures of me as a teen. So. Growing up, I had a pretty decent life. I was pretty much raised by my grandparents. Not to the fault of my parents, they had incredibly busy jobs at the time. And so for a long, during school holidays and stuff like that, I was with my grandparents and before and after school as well. In 2012, it was January 2012, so I was in year 6. My granddad died after a long battle with cancer. And because of me being with my grandparents during that time, I was very much at the forefront of that. I was basically a primary carer for him as he was slowly degrading, essentially, right in front of me. He then died in January 13th, 2012. And yeah, that sort of stuck with me a little bit. I didn't really speak about it to anyone and sort of kept it up, like bottled up inside, I guess. As I sort of progressed through high school, I didn't again speak to anyone about this, kept it all bottled inside. This then developed into depression. I started to suffer with anxiety as a result. And due to certain things that happened during my granddad's illness, such as he at one point his mind was not as good as it was, and he would actually threaten us sometimes, even though we were trying to help him. And because of that, I also developed PTSD. During my time in high school and college, I didn't know this. I didn't seek help. I just bottled it up inside and carried on as normal. This really came to a head probably during my time at college. I really was suffering with my mental health, and as a result, it really affected my schoolwork and my social life. I closed myself off from a lot of people, and actually as a result, I only actually have 2 A-levels because I completely just gave up with my studies, and I was lucky to even get those 2 A-levels. And then I moved to university. I thought it would be a new start for me, and I thought it'd be great. And for the most part it was. I met some amazing flatmates who I actually got talking to for the first time. I actually spoke about, it was a drunken night. I finally opened up to one of my flatmates and she was really, really supportive. But then that was all taken away from us again, thanks to COVID. I went home pretty much just after the lockdown was brought in, and yeah, the dark times, as I call them, hit again really hard. Having come back to Bangor after the pandemic when we were allowed to, I sort of found it really, really difficult to adjust to a different life again. I moved in with those flatmates that I had that were so supportive, and they did everything to try and help me. Eventually, thanks to their support and for me reaching out, I eventually got help, and now I'm doing a lot better. I'm on medication, and I'd like to say I'm okay. But I honestly think that if I would have had a support network as a teenager, none of that would have happened. I wouldn't have been in such a dark place where I was, insanely depressed and it had massive anxiety and became very suicidal. And so, yeah, I think just as from my perspective, this is a massive, massive thing. Yeah. So I've been trying to think of some solutions. I've been doing some research about any possible solutions that are going on. And so these are sort of the main things that I picked up on. So we want to remove the stigma surrounding men's mental health. We want to encourage friendship groups to check in on each other. If I'd have had that when I was in high school, maybe I wouldn't have gotten to the point that I got to. I don't know if any of you have seen the documentary by Ronan Kemp. Basically, in it, he sort of described a rule that he sort of implemented with his friends called the double OK rule, where essentially, you meet up with a group of friends, you say, "Oh, you're okay?" And usually the response you get back is, "Oh yeah, I'm doing fine." Sort of a nonchalant, off-the-cuff response. What he says is, after that, ask again, "Are you okay?" And usually at that point, the ice has been broken and people are more likely to open up and to speak about what's been going on. Just if it's anything, any random thoughts or feelings or something that's gone on previously in the day. And again, it makes us more likely to check in with our friends and make sure we're all doing okay. I think as well, we also need to give young men and teens a safe space within communities and schools where they can express their emotions and feel valid, have their thoughts and feelings validated in some respect. Giving young men the help they need as soon as they need it. Again, if I obviously feel if I had gotten help during the time of high school, I wouldn't have got to those dark places. And so yeah, it's all about really trying to break that chain of men suffering in silence in their adolescence, bottling up and then end up in crisis either during that period of time or later in life. And so one of the solutions that I came up with, and this is a little bit of a cheeky plug, but is the project with Enactus that I'm developing called Reach Out. Reach Out is a non-profit organisation that basically tries to aim to do pretty much everything that I just said. So we want to provide quality mental health education for high school and college students. We want to create safe spaces within the communities, and we've actually just been awarded, we've been shortlisted with ASDA for a grant and to get access to their community hub spaces, wherein we can basically create these support groups for men aged 12 to 18, where they can have that freedom of expression, and hopefully then they can reach support that they can, during those sessions. So yeah, we aim to break the chain and to help men to talk about their mental health before they end up in crisis. We want to essentially, there was something, I don't know if anyone's seen New Amsterdam, it was sort of treating patients before they become patients. So yeah, I thought that's a good thing. Yeah, thank you for listening. Yeah.